Welcome back to Slightly Less Boring Build Friday. Today we're going to get started on our 1965 Mustang convertible project. We're going to take the motor and trans out of it. Since it's up on the lift, we can take a good look at the bottom of it and see exactly what we're in for. Let's get started. So all of our frame rails are nice and solid, front to back. Our floors are pretty solid except for one little spot right here. It's a little soft. We're going to have to patch that. Everything looks pretty good. A lot of this British rust proofing, aka oil leaks, kind of helped with the center of the car. Somebody has definitely been here before. We got some exhaust clamps that are just chilling and not clamping anything. So we have some less than stellar welds on the clutch linkage, and somebody thought putting some extra long bolts in the fuel pump would be a great way to store some washers they had laying around. We got some emergency brake cables that are just draped on top of the exhaust. Probably a good thing, huh? Got some air shocks in the back. Let's see if they work. First, you gotta open the hood.
I don't know how. I can't even open my own.
Okay, so before we get started, first thing we got to do is play a little game of hide and go seek with the afternoon crew and the hood latch. Down, down, down. Maybe more of Marco Polo. Close. Still easier than a Scion TC. Do the negative side first. Righty, tighty, lefty, loosey, yeah.
You sure?
That's the wrong way.
No.
First, we're going to disconnect the battery and remove it so we don't forget, and do some unintentional arc welding. We're going to use a lot of metric wrenches on standard bolts. We'll see how that works out. Now we're going to pull the hood off, get it out of our way. We need more room. It's not like there isn't enough in this engine bay already. Of course, not enough for a Coyote motor. So now that the hood's out of the way, we can take all of our cross supports off. Ford needs these to hold the front end on their car. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to make Ford jokes. Some of the Ford guys are a little sensitive, and they were all upset about all my jokes last time, so I'll have to stop. So now we're going to unbolt the drive shaft. Here comes all the comments about the expensive watch. Haven't cared before, still don't care now. But keep trying. Pull the drive shaft out. Now we can disconnect the shift linkage. We're going to leave the shifter in the car. Take it off the trans. This will give us more room to slide it out the front. So now we're unbolting the shift linkage from the trans. Now it's separate. Now we'll disconnect the speedometer cable. Cables. Who uses those? We'll replace it with a wire. We'll unbolt the trans mount from the cross member in the back. Is this where we're supposed to comment that she's not wearing gloves with those nice fingernails? Okay. Just put those right after the comments about her watch. Now I'm going to unbolt the clutch linkage. It goes to the side of the block and to the frame rail. I'm going to drain the oil, just so when the motor is out of the car and it's sitting somewhere, we don't have a leak. There's still quite a bit in there. I'm surprised, because it was everywhere else as well. It left a trail everywhere I went. I'm assuming that was Ford's original GPS. Oops. Sorry. I forgot I wasn't supposed to make fun of Ford. We're going to unbolt the cross member underneath the engine. It's going to be in our way. I'm going to take the drag link out. It's also going to be in our way. Get it right here.
Hang on, there's... How else do you want me to do this? I'm not a lefty.
Now you are.
Can I go?
Yeah. Come on. Shooting at softballs, but big metal objects that are stationary seem to be a struggle. She got that one. Now we can unbolt our exhaust. Not sure if I'm going to take it apart, but it's easier to do it now while the car's up in the air. It's probably all going in the pile at some point, but I want to save everything for right now. Now we can disconnect the exhaust from the manifold. There's that clamp that doesn't do anything. It's supposed to be holding this pipe up. Now we're going to unbolt the trans cross member in the back. We're not going to take the bolts out, but this way when we lower the car down and put it up on a jack, we'll be able to just slide the bolts right out. Get that cross member out of our way so we can pull the trans out. Now we can disconnect the engine mounts.
Is that not on? Or is it fine?
Try. It's out. The afternoon crew decided to give the safety experts a win. She's wearing safety glasses. Now we're going to disconnect the radiator. There goes Mr. Spotty. No, just pull the hose off. Wiggle it and pull it out. Come on. Come on. And now she's going to drown Mr. Spotty in antifreeze. So cruel. Turns out Mr. Spotty can't swim.
R.I.P. Mr. Spotty. Sorry, friend.
Now we'll unbolt the upper radiator hose. Now we can unbolt the radiator from the radiator support. Luckily, Mr. Spotty cloned himself, so now we have a new Mr. Spotty.
What happened?
Now that we got the radiator unbolted, we can drain the rest of the Mr. Spotty murder juice and lift it out. I'll disconnect some of the wiring. This is a starter solenoid. Disconnect this massive wiring harness. Pull the ground wire off the cowl. Disconnect the power wire to the starter. Now pull all the wires out the back of the alternator. Makes you appreciate new cars. Usually one nut and one plug and they're off. Not 4 nuts and 10 wires. Now we'll disconnect the ground wire to the block. So now we're going to remove the air cleaner. This is the 1965 Ford cold air intake. It's good for 15 horsepower. Wait, this engine only has 12. The math just doesn't add up. Now you can disconnect the heater hoses. Take that one off.
All the way off, or
Just enough to get the clamp out loose. That's loose. Bend the bracket a little bit so we can get the heater hose out of it. And pull the heater hoses off. Pull the breather tube off so we can get the rest of this air cleaner out of our way. I'm going to put the other heater hose off. Now we'll disconnect the throttle linkage. Disconnect the fuel line. I can pull off our massive wiring harness here. All 3 wires. Temperature sensor, oil pressure sensor, and coil. We're going to disconnect the rest of our clutch linkage. This is the adjuster where it comes out of the cowl. Slide this bracket off. Take it out of our way. In the pile. Now we're going to unbolt our pedal assembly. It's got a bar that runs from the pedal across the cowl and up next to the motor. It's going to be in our way when we try to pull the motor out. Really inconvenient. Apparently they hadn't heard of cables yet in 1965. So now we got our trans jacked up, we can pull our cross member out. Now everything's ready to come out. We're going to take it out as an assembly. Probably would have fit out the bottom. I would have to take the fuel pump off though. So that thing I'm cranking is an engine leveler. As I turn it, it moves the chain closer to the front, which tips the back of it down so that I can take the engine out a little bit more straight up and down. I'm not used to taking motors out the top. Most new cars, they go out the bottom. Go forward a little bit and up at the same time. Once the front of the motor clears the radiator support, we can go forward. Takes a little time so you don't just rip it out of there. This is a rebuilt engine. It's not the original. So for all you purists that say I'm cutting up a car, it should be saved. It was the cheapest Mustang you can buy. It's not numbers matching. It's a perfect candidate to do what I'm going to do to it. Sorry. You guys are just going to have to hate me. Trans looks like it was rebuilt as well. So now we'll put our drag link back in so we can steer it around. Otherwise the tires are going in two different directions. We're going to have to push it. But then again, it is a Ford. At least it's a little bit lighter now. Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot I wasn't going to make fun of Fords anymore. You guys didn't actually believe that, did you? So now we're going to throw everything in the trunk. This is where we're going to start our pile. So the afternoon crew got to experience expert level hide and seek as we looked for the needle bearings because I forgot to tape up the U-joint. Luckily they were all in a little pile. We put it back together. No harm done. No fishing either. I doubt we're going to use any of this stuff, but it's better to keep it and throw it away later than be looking for it when we're trying to put it back together. So now we can throw the hood back on. If anybody wants an inline 6 or a 3-speed manual transmission for a Mustang, let me know. I win. The afternoon crew should have tried lifting down. Not even close. Just like Ford intended. Let's test out the air shocks. Oh, we got a lifted Mustang.
Alright, y'all, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you want to see more of this, and thanks for watching.